self haircut thing, it's not that great. But I've had worse haircuts in my time from actual hairdressers, and I've chosen worse hairstyles in my time. So this actually is all right. But yes, here we are today doing a different kind of video, something very unique for my channel. I've not done one of these kind of discussion type videos in a long time, so hopefully you guys see the video and get interested in the topic of it, because it has been a long time since I've done something like this. You might be looking at this thinking, wow, this is a bit random, but hear me out. I wanted to talk about music talent shows today, particularly the UK side of things. I'm focusing mostly here on the UK. You could probably apply this to other countries though, maybe America, but my general theme here, or my general point that I'm making, is that music talent shows are no longer fit for purpose. Now, if you've never watched my channel before and you are ready to leave an angry comment, a dislike, just before you do, I'm not saying that you're not allowed to watch these shows. You're not allowed to like them. You're not allowed to enjoy them. If you watch them every Saturday night, whenever they're on TV, with your family, with your partner, like, that's fine. I'm not saying you can't do that. I'm not saying you're not allowed. I'm not saying that you're wrong for doing that. But I have my own opinion on them here, and that's what I'm going to be talking about in this video. So again, if you watch them, you enjoy them, you like the artists that go on there, good. But however, the point of this video is to discuss what the point of these shows is anymore, because there was a time when they were incredibly popular, garnering millions upon millions upon millions of viewers every week, and then once you got to the actual final of the show, they skyrocketed in views once again. They were pretty relevant to jump starting artists' careers. They have really managed to give us some of the biggest names in music across the world, like One Direction and even Little Mix as well. And so yeah, they've been hugely influential on giving us some really recognizable names. You could even go back to the early 2000s. I'm pretty sure Kelly Clarkson was on one of those talent shows and became really famous as well. So they've had their fair share of influence on music culture. They really have. But we're fast forwarding now to the year 2021, when these shows are still getting pretty good views. I checked the last season of X Factor. It's been a few years now, to be fair, but it was at about 6-ish million per episode. That's a lot of people watching the show. That's more than some shows at their peak if they're not particularly very popular, or they're not as relevant in the pop culture sphere. That is higher than some, of those kinds of shows. So it's obviously doing well. People still care about these shows. People still watch them. People still enjoy them. I still enjoy the audition phase because the auditions are hilarious. But the actual point of the show is losing its power. And I kind of feel like they need to revamp what they're doing, because there isn't really a point for the people that win the show anymore. So the winners of the show get a bit of a cash prize. I'm not sure how much, but it's pretty vague, I think, with how much they do end up getting themselves. But the main thing that they get is a £1 million record deal. I think some of that money goes to the person themselves, something like that I read. I could be wrong there. It's a bit of a hazy detail. It doesn't really matter, because the record deal is worth £1 million. That's a bloody lot of money. So you would think that that would take them places and would be so impactful on their careers and lives that they would be super relevant for their career, and they would be in the public eye with hit after hit after hit after hit. That's what you'd expect, wouldn't you? Yeah, obviously. They've just won a show that's supposed to give them that, so obviously that's what happens, right? Not for 6 or 7 years has that been the case, maybe longer, depending on how you look at some of the success of the artists. I've mentioned One Direction already, by the way. They didn't even win the show. So no, actually, the winners for quite a while have not seen that happen. They haven't seen the success that they're promised from the get-go. And I don't know what these people behind the scenes even do to help them with their careers, because some of these artists like haven't put out music in quite a while. So the purpose of the show doesn't even fulfill what it promises from the get-go. That is an issue in itself. If you look at previous winners that have won in the past couple of years, we've got Rak-Su, Matt Terry, amongst others. Dalton Harris, sorry, is his name. They usually release a single around Christmas time. For a long time, it always hit #1, but it doesn't do that anymore because, again, the artists just don't seem to have as much staying power and as much of an impact on the charts. And all the names I've just mentioned here have pretty much had one song chart, and that's it. And look, I'm not trying to say that you have to get charting songs to be successful or to be, irrelevant, because that's not true. A lot of the artists I cover on this very channel don't do that. They aren't massive names in music. A lot of people in passing conversation would never have heard of some of the artists I talk about on this channel, but they didn't go on a talent show that was watched by millions of people and were essentially promised a successful career because all of the artists I talk about are making their way up on their own. They don't have Simon Cowell behind them, pushing them, and they don't have, again, millions of people watching them week in, week out perform songs, and that's already a good amount of people that recognize their name. I mean, think of all the people that watch The X Factor. That's probably like dozens of millions of people that will recognize a name like Rak-Su, and yet they're nowhere to be seen on the charts. Their albums barely charted. Matt Terry barely charted with his album. I just don't get it. What does this show do for people? You always get these people come on the show and they're in dead-end jobs and they're pretty much hating their lives. And they're like, this is my dream. And yeah, you know what? Leona Lewis certainly achieved her dream because she was successful for quite a period of time. Little Mix have been successful for quite a period of time. I just don't know what they do with these artists behind the scenes, because why is it only a few of them that do really well? Is it because the landscape of music's changed? People go to streaming, people go to playlists on Spotify, YouTube, all that kind of stuff. They find artists through social media as well, TikTok, other places like that they end up, finding names that they really love. They hear it in I don't know, anyway you could imagine. People have their own sort of ways of finding music, and I don't think shows like this provide that anymore. Looking at The Voice, it's even more dire. I mean, some of these artists never even get to #1. There's only been, I think, one when I was scrolling through, Becky Hill, maybe another one too, but it's like really minimal, really minimal. So this show is even less impactful for these artists. And this is what I mean. They go on the show, and I've said this already, it's their dream, it's their goal in life, and yet they don't even get that. So why do they go on this show? What is prompting them to go on here when they won't actually have the career that they want in the long run? They could make their way up like most other artists and probably see more success. So I just think that they're being sold a bit of a lie. And then there's been other issues that the show has been caught up in with behind the scenes stuff. There's been a few cases of where people going in on the auditions were told that they couldn't do a certain song, and then they had to perform a specific song, probably to cater to the audience and to cater to your average person. So they're really playing it safe, and they're taking away the independence and the autonomy of the singer-songwriter before they've even been given a chance. Like, they weren't even allowed to perform a song they wanted to. So Simon Cowell's playing with something in the background to control things. And yeah, there's not really much independence. And then there's the controversy surrounding Little Mix leaving Syco Records, making a song about how controlling they are. It all kind of adds up into something a bit questionable. So they pick a winner, they choose someone that will, do right for their record label, and then they basically control them in ways that they want them to. and then maybe fizzle out because obviously that artist hasn't had the the artistic freedom that they should be given when they're making their own music. You should be able to do that when you make your own music, and they are essentially performing cover songs. So every week, week in, week out, they're performing a song that isn't even their own. So again, the freedom is just taken away from these artists, and perhaps that's why they don't end up doing very well, because they're focusing on covering other artists, and then when they actually get to doing their own stuff, they don't really have a successful time making their own songs. So their cover song these days is barely hitting #1, and then when they do their own actual songs, they're barely even charting. So my question is, what is the purpose of this show? These artists aren't achieving their dreams, their goals anymore, and that's kind of the point of the show to begin with. They're literally getting a career handed to them by going on this show and performing in front of millions of people every week, and they're losing that momentum the minute the show is finished. Can Simon Cowell, hit me in the comments and tell me what the point of this show is? Is he even on the judging panel anymore? At one point it was bloody Tulisa from N-Dubz. Like, come on, bro. If we're getting Tulisa from N-Dubz to judge a talent show, you've thrown it in the toilet from there onwards. That's the end of it. So yeah, I'm a bit baffled by what shows like this provide for artists in the long run. The talent that they bring onto the show is pretty narrow and rigid. When you watch these live performances, these auditions, they're essentially just holding a microphone, singing to a backing track. Is it karaoke? Is this live karaoke? Is that what the X Factor is? Essentially, it might be. The Voice has the audacity to be like, okay, we're going to have blind auditions, so we don't see what you look like before you start singing. And that essentially loses its magic within about 30 seconds because you buzz a button and then you see what they look like. It's a bit of a lie to say that they don't care about an artist's looks and shit like that. And it's the same on those shows as well. Just karaoke is glorified karaoke for millions of people to watch. It's just not really providing the public what music really is. It's more than just singing. You need more than a bloody good voice to be a successful artist. You need charisma, you need a personality, you need a unique angle. You need to bring your listeners something different with your lyrics, your writing, your delivery. You need to be providing interesting instrumentation. You need a lot of talent going behind the scenes in the production. Like, bloody hell, I could go on and on and on. I barely touched the surface there, but X Factor touches even less than that. So it's not like I'm running a show about music and I'm telling people this is what music is. They're the ones doing that, and they're not even hitting all the boxes. They're touching like 1%. And then of course about 80% of them fizzle out and no one listens to them ever again because they weren't providing listeners something unique to begin with. So you're selling the audience a lie. You're selling a lie to the contestants that come on the show. It's just all a pointless mess, and it really doesn't do what it's set out to achieve. It's not fit for purpose. I do kind of think that people that watch the show are shooting themselves in the foot a little bit, because you're not really laying your ears onto some interesting underground artists that are providing much better music anyway. And the Psycho record label and the people that work on X Factor will never give you anything completely fresh and original. And that honestly could be why so many of these artists fizzle out and don't go anywhere, because audiences don't find anything new from them. And that's really a shame. It's a shame. So these artists fizzle out and get given nothing in the end. It's a sad bloody reality, my god. So yeah, that's the video. Hopefully you enjoyed it, and hopefully you have some interesting feedback in the comments and what you think. Perhaps I was preaching to the choir a little bit, but I had a bit of an inkling, a bit of an urge to talk about this, because it's a shame they're really not doing what they set out to do for these artists, and these artists probably would have just done better if they'd worked their way up as an independent name. But I don't know. So tell me your thoughts in the comments. Bit of a random video, but hopefully you enjoyed it. Thank you for watching. Do have a good day. If you haven't already, that doesn't make sense. Do subscribe if you haven't already. Do have a good day as well. Thank you, and goodbye.